So our not-so-subtle investigations in the palace, complete with magically knowing that we should pull a book from a bookshelf in the grand library that opens up a secret room, nets us a letter from Celine to a Lady M. Mashing that V key can apparently cause our wood-penetrating magical sonar to discover mechanical metal contraptions in bookcases. The letter describes Celine as afraid of Gaspard, and that she doesn't have her court enchanter nearby. We can only assume this is to be Vivienne, and thus wants Lady M to be by her side. The question I have is this Lady M's room? Because if it isn't, then this letter never got delivered or somehow winded up here. The only person who has been near Celine's side is her cousin, the Grand Duchess of Leeds. Thus, Lady M hasn't been doing her job very well, at least as we have seen Celine publicly without her. Unless the Grand Duchess of Leeds is Lady M. Either way, all this letter does is tell us that Celine's afraid, and she thinks Gaspard might use magic, which means this letter is useless. Thank you once again, game, for not furthering the plot and totally wasting our time. So we get back to the party, and our new task, at least at what the game is telling us on the side of the screen to do, is to look for elven servants. We finally get some insight into the war.
If you are hoping for insight, you've come to the wrong man. It's war. It is brutal, and terrible, and sometimes necessary. There's nothing more to say.
And now the game is telling us to search the rooms in the upper guest wing just because we talked to some uncle of Gaspard. But before we do that, we go and eavesdrop on some elven servants, where they have literally spilled wine or blood on the marble-like floor we're eavesdropping in. That's pretty messy. They just walked into a party full of blood, but only spilled it in one location? Wine. Okay, but back to our original plot point, I guess? Okay, I'm getting confused what the specific goals are here.
He hasn't made the pickup. It's been hours.
You went into the servants' wing. Nobody's come out of there all night.
I'll tell Briala we have a situation.
Okay, so there's still something going on in the servants' wing, but now the game is telling us to search the guest wing for a hidden cylinder seal. Where did this come? I'm kind of lost in understanding what's happening here.
I am Lady Marcelette, court historian to Her Imperial Majesty.
A Lady Marcelette. Okay, maybe this is Lady M. Does she know magic? Well, she's certainly not near the Empress, so it probably isn't her.
Philippe should have returned hours ago, dallying with some serving girl while I deal with Gaspard.
Better than the rest of the council.
And who is Philippe, and why should I call him a jerk? How is this even an option? Are we just going to go up to people and having them splurge random dialogue on us, and in order to play the grand game, we just nod our heads?
I can't imagine Gaspard being vitriolic. What's the matter?
The Grand Duke bears a grudge against the council for refusing him the crown. He's threatened death if they refuse him again, collectively and individually, along with their vassals.
Thing is, both choices are just us placating the guy in a different way. Okay, so I lost 15 points just for asking a vassal the question, how did you cross Gaspard? The dude was angry and we're just seeing what's wrong. I want to know how he's doing by showing him some attention, by showing compassion. And the court somehow doesn't like that. So we walk out to some terrace and find the hidden cylinder seal, which isn't very hidden as it's just lying near the banister. Is this supposed to be the guest wing, or did the drop-off change? We even get a cutscene.
Well. What's this?
Well, this is a list of some buffoon who is either keeping track of their own spies by writing down timestamps on when they entered the servants' wing or something else. Do we have to know what order they entered? Should we memorize the times? I don't understand what's going on here. Now, if Briala isn't the one who's in charge of these spies, that sort of makes sense, as she might have employed someone to watch the servants' wing, and who knows all the servants by name and is making a list of times and people so they can narrow something down, maybe? Toward what does this info help us? I don't... And if you were planning some criminal activity or whatever, why would you be recording people's names and times of when they entered one section of a building and then leaving your records for someone to find? What's the point? I mean, even an astute planner of like a heist or of the perfect crime where timing is needed wouldn't start cataloging the order of events like some obsessive compulsive and then just discard their notes for someone else in their plan to find? I mean, what would be the point of that? Just leave a message in the same fashion with the one word saying abort. Because this clearly isn't the perfect crime anymore. Things have gone astray. Unless this is one giant ruse to lead us astray, that might be something. We get 2 more scandalous secrets from overhearing the exact same 2 conversations in the garden before.
You must be mistaken.
No, I'm quite certain it It was blood on the tiles.
You only say that because you fancy the Empress's sped up estate. It sickens me to think of the chaos those Maleficarum are causing across the Empire.
If you ask me.
Great going, game, there, for paying attention to yourself. We climb up the garden ladder once again and now find blood on the balcony, and we can now open the holostatue door on this floor. We find some dead dude on the floor and some negotiation notes. It is a letter to Celine from Gaspard saying that Briella has some weapon that could turn the tide of our war. That is the civil one. Okay, that's good to know. The question I have is, how did anyone enter this room to drop a body off if there are a limited number of magical statuettes? Are these statuettes completely modular skeleton keys and can open any magical holo doors? And if so, why can't I keep the holo statuettes I find? Obviously, whoever was in there before kept theirs, else the door would have been unlocked. So there's some bell apparently that tells us we need to go back to the ballroom. And while we're opening the door, we get another cutscene from another Dragon Age Origins character in the same trigger point, but not at the same location.
Well, what have we here?
Let me explain myself here. Where is this staircase? This is all the way at the back of the vestibule, where those three dwarves were talking before. That means Morrigan is throwing her voice across the entire room, that the camera can hear her footsteps as well as our Inquisitor, and that they're addressing each other from across the entire room. We have then teleported ourselves all the way to the back of the room where Morgan has now finished walking down the staircase. Aside from this very poor method of hidden cinematography, at the very least we should still be hearing the bells ringing for us to enter the grand ballroom. We can't hear that because we gotta talk to some mysterious stranger.
Delivered from the grasp of the Fade by the hand of blessed Andraste herself. What could bring such an
Okay, why are you smiling? This mysterious female stranger is sarcastically addressing you. Shouldn't you be on your guard because of the grand game?
creature here to the Imperial Court, I wonder? Do even you know?
Apparently it's to stop Celine from getting killed, but good lord, do all the clues we've found point to illogical, crazy murderers that no one can make sense of. There's nothing wrong with clues, though, that are independent in a mystery and we've yet to see the full scope of, but the clues we've collected so far are illogical by themselves, and there's no hope of linking them to anything yet.
We may never know. Courtly intrigues and all that.
I'm generally okay with this response, even though it's empty. You're just trying to play the role of fitting in at the grand game.
Such intrigues obscure much, but not all. I am Morrigan. Some call me advisor to Empress Celine on matters of the arcane. Perhaps you and I hunt the same prey.
I don't know. Do we?
Recently I found and killed an unwelcome guest within these very halls. An agent of Tevinter.
So how does Morrigan know that it was an agent of Tevinter? I mean, how, oh murderess? Didn't Leliana just warn us of her? Of course, the player knows that's whom Leliana was referring to, but does Mr. Smiley Pants over here know that?
So I offer you this, Inquisitor. A key found on the Tevinter's body. Where it leads, I cannot say. Yet, if Celine is in danger, I cannot leave her side long enough to search. You can.
Okay, so you have a key that you don't know what it opens, but because we might be on the same side, you're giving it to me. Okay then. And the people behind Morrigan are officially, I don't know, animatronics who can't stop bowing? What is wrong with these Orlesians and their bodily movements? I guess you just gotta get up and dance at a ball, right?
Why did you kill the agent? He might have had useful information.
I would not have slain the man on sight had he not attacked me first. Why? Undoubtedly, I caught him in an illicit act. I did not know from whence he came until after the battle, and regret only that I could not capture him alive. What intentions the Imperium has here, I suspect you know far better than I.
Okay, Morrigan killed someone. Is that the dude we found up in the locked hollow room, or is there someone else? And what about the person whom the elven servants killed? Morgan's referring to a Tevinter spy. Which one is it? This is important because we need to know that if the document about a weapon Briella has is believable or fake. It would also imply that the spy might have been trying to cover up the weapon, or at least remove the letter, or was just info gathering for Tevinter. Could this weapon potentially kill Celine? We don't know, but it's the first thing that makes any kind of reasonable sense as to why we're even here.